I got a bit of a problem with my room and it's not accessible.
Things are not looking good. I might also just get off the boat and just cancel the rest of the cruise. So it is not fine. This is absolutely not fine.
So for today's topic, we're going to sail into a story that is going absolutely viral right now on the internet in regards to a man by the name of Shane that is currently sailing on board an MSC cruise ship over in Europe right now as we speak. You see, Shane's not too happy. In fact, he's very angry as he is currently on board this MSC cruise ship because he did not get the disabled or accessible room that he had requested for his cruise, to the point to where he's gotten so angry that he is now considering disembarking the ship, wheeling himself off, and never returning on board a cruise again. Now, this topic to me is interesting to cover because obviously when it comes to accessible and disabled rooms, it's not something that is widely popular amongst cruisers. However, there's obviously a good percentage of people that need these accessible rooms, and it's caused a little bit of a controversy among people that obviously, once again, need these disabled rooms versus the people that are able to book these rooms that have no disabilities whatsoever. So we're going to watch the video of all of this conundrum that has taken place, and then we'll go over some details. Of course, as well, if you guys are interested in seeing any disabled or accessible content, this man, Shane, does have a TikTok and YouTube channel called Wheel Around the World. Make sure you go give him a follow. And of course, for this video, if you find any value in this video whatsoever, make sure you, of course, like the video and subscribe. That way you get updated and notified whenever I post more videos.
I'm so excited and also very nervous. I'm going on my first cruise. The cruise I'm going on is for 8 days, 7 nights with MSC, and it leaves here in Marseille.
Ah, ooh la la.
On this cruise, I'm going to check out everything on the boat, from the pools, the bars, the restaurants, take you for a tour of my cabin. I will even show you some of the features of the boat that aren't great for people with disabilities.
Okay.
Tomorrow we go to Barcelona. After that we go to Tunisia. We go to Palermo, which is the stop that I'm most excited about.
Palermo is nice.
In Palermo. Then we head on to Naples in Italy. Our final day is in Florence. So come with me on my first sea voyage.
All right, we're going.
And let's go sail the world together. All right, checking in. Wish me luck, here we go.
He's gonna need some luck being at a European port. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Perfect, merci. Thank you. So that was the check-in process. I was given no information, no nothing. It's more like they gave me a ticket number, which I have no idea what this means, but number 47.
Quickly, just for reference, for those of you out there that have not been on a cruise over in the European countries, the EU, Europe, the experience at the terminals and ports are very, very different than what you might experience in the mecca of cruising, like your Florida, Miami to be specific, and even around the United States. Over there, of course, naturally you do have the language barrier, you have the cultural differences, but over at the terminals and the port, as far as checking in, it is a very, oftentimes from what I've experienced, a hands-off experience, and not for you, it's for the crew. Getting a lot of information that you're normally accustomed to over in the United States, you won't see it as frequent, and I've sailed on cruises out of the UK, out of France, out of Italy, out of Spain, you name it, I've done it, and most of the time, I'd say really 90% of the time when I've gone on a cruise over in these areas, it has not been the same experience that I've had over in the United States. There is a little bit of disorganization a lot of times. There is, of course, the language barrier that you got to kind of fight through, and as far as the information that you are given, you're not exactly held by hand or given your training wheels like you would get over in the United States. I don't think it's better or worse, but it's just a different experience, and regardless if you are disabled or anything like that, it's going to be different than what you are probably used to when it comes to cruising.
About to go to another check-in counter. So I got this, and this is my passport. I'll just let you know as well, when I went to check in, it sent me an email at midnight, and then I woke up to check in and it said I can't check in, it's too late. I couldn't get a boarding pass because when I went online to check in, it said I can't check in. So it didn't let me. Merci beaucoup. It's my welcome letter.
Go downstairs.
Yeah.
And then I'll be there.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Take the elevator. I will wait for you downstairs.
Merci beaucoup.
I miss France.
Back in the elevator again, going back to where I started from. Doesn't seem like they know their system for wheelchair users that well. Merci. I think that means I go with this security guy. Merci beaucoup. Now that I've gone through security, I've got no instructions on where to go, what to do.
That's Europe for
I
you.
don't even know my room number. They've told me nothing. So I'm just going to try to follow the people that are just walking, and hopefully they'll head to the right direction. So this is the boat. This is the boat that I'll be spending 7 days on. It's pretty big, and there's a guy just over here who looks like he's spray painting it.
I didn't see the name. What ship is that?
Coat of paint. But yeah, the boat is enormous.
Ah, I missed it.
So I'm actually going on a walkway between two boats. On the right of me is MSC Cruises, and to the left of me is Virgin Cruises. Which is better, MSC Cruises or Virgin Cruises?
That's debatable.
So here's
But
the
for
entrance,
now,
which is a staircase.
Virgin at the moment.
But luckily for me, there's a ramp.
Very nice.
Wow, it's a steep ramp, huh? Crazy. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh my god, it's a steep one. It's getting
It's like that on every
steeper.
cruise, by the way, guys. Every cruise.
Yes.
That one?
Only this one.
And I mean, when there isn't like an actual
Welcome aboard.
gangway or like a jet bridge,
I
it's
called
going to be
up and they
steep.
said there's an accessible cabin, so it'll be accessible, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Hello, how are you?
Good at you?
Very good, thank you.
This is a location of your cruise card.
Okay,
You
great.
will proceed to your room to
Okay.
take your cruise card
Yeah,
and make sure that the name is relevant, is the same.
okay.
Welcome on board.
Merci beaucoup. So now I'm off to find my room.
Hello.
Hi,
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
65?
Yeah,
All right, I will open for you the cabin.
thank you.
Oh, here we go.
I will leave the door. Like this.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, this is not what I look.
You can fit it in here. I think so. You think so?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. It's a disaster. It is not fine. This is absolutely not fine.
So before we continue, as you can see in the video, there are clear differences in the embarkation and boarding process, different than what you would see in the US, like I mentioned earlier. But also in this video, do keep in mind for this gentleman, Shane, it's his first cruise ever, so it is a possibility, it's probable he had no idea whatsoever to expect. I would always argue that yes, if you guys are going on a cruise for the first time, please do your research. I do understand that when it comes to accessibility or disabled content, like I said, it's not that there aren't people out there that aren't going on cruises that are in wheelchairs, but as far as the overall popularity when it comes to cruising, it's definitely hidden in the algorithm somewhere. Needless to say, I do believe that this gentleman is, of course, within his rights to feel the way that he feels. There may be some people out there think he's being dramatic, but you got to understand, this man doesn't even have a toilet, let alone the fact that there are no ramps in the room, and it does appear that there may be a little bit of space for him to get his wheelchair around, but that's neither here or there. The fact remains that apparently and allegedly he booked an accessible room and he didn't get it.
I got a bit of a problem with my room.
I went down to customer service.
And it's not accessible.
Things are not
Good.
looking good. I might also just get off the boat and just cancel the rest of the cruise. So, oh my god. Yeah, no, this is not what I look.
You can fit it in here. I think so. You think so?
It's not the point.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, in that case, you can just go to the reception regard, or you just can call them.
I don't like that tone, sir.
Okay, thank you.
No, I'm joking.
I've made it in the room and it's a disaster. Like,
You hit the nervous
I
laugh by the
expected
room
a
steward.
small room, but this is the tiniest bunk room that I've ever seen. You can tell it's adjoining room. There's a door there that goes to another room. Like, there's actually a bit of room to move through to the balcony, which is great, but it's a single bed. And the bathroom is not usable at all. There's a step this big to get in.
Yeah, he'd have to crawl
And then there's a bathtub with a step
to
this
get in
big
there.
to get in. And then there's a glass partition which is this narrow, so there's no way to get in the bathroom and shower at all. When I was on the phone to the agent who said, no, the room will be fine, you'll be fine, it's fine for wheelchairs. It is not fine.
Definitely not.
This is absolutely not fine. So I'm going to go for a roll now to guest services on level 5 and have a chat with them. The door to get into the room is also extremely heavy. And there's also a lip to actually get into the room. And where they've positioned me to is right at the very end of the hallway.
Oh,
Like,
man.
Literally, you could not get a room further away from the lifts.
And by the way, I know it sounds like he's complaining a lot, but you got to think this is,
It looks like I found guest
it's a big deal for him.
services.
He's in a wheelchair, you know?
It's the reception guest services over here.
I got a bit of a problem with my room, and it's not accessible.
Not accessible.
No. The room that I've got into has a bunk bed, and it has a step to get into the bathroom, and in a bathtub. It's almost impossible to even enter the room, let alone use the bathroom facilities. And obviously it's a bit stressful.
Let me double check something.
Does this happen often?
No, the thing is, you booked your cruise 3 weeks ago.
So what happened is, as soon as I booked it, within 24 hours, less than that, I sent the form. Because the website
Oh, he's
said,
got the
as soon as
receipts.
you make a booking, send the form. So I did it straight away. And I didn't hear back for a week. And I kept calling and calling.
Well, let me read this.
And emailing.
It's Hi MSC Special Needs Team. Okay, he did. He went through the right proper channels, the correct channels. I have sent this message email rather, 3 times, but I have not received any response. Can you please confirm the receipt of this email? I followed the process that is listed on your website and would greatly appreciate your help. Okay.
I had my colleague to contact the cruise terminal, and I confirmed that the reform's been received.
We are going to send a letter for all these cabins. The one who want to leave their cabins, because we have some guests that
Probably don't need them. Yeah.
I cannot guarantee anything right now, but we are going to do the necessary
Yeah.
to get you these cabins. As soon as we get any information, we are going to contact you by message, by phone. That's good.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Okay, cool. No worries. Thank you so much. I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
So the lovely people at the guest services
Well, he's not gonna be happy.
were very helpful. They're going to look at the people that are in the accessible rooms. And if there's anyone that's in an accessible room that doesn't need to be or shouldn't be an accessible room, we're going to ask them kindly if they would move. So who knows, see what will happen, but it's definitely going to be interesting or difficult to spend 8 days in a boat with a bathroom that I can't use. Oh, and the hallways are so long.
4 hours later, what happened?
So I've just come back from reception, and things are not looking good for getting a room which has a bit more of an accessible setup. They did show me a room, but the room they showed me has a bed where you cannot wheel on either side of the bed.
And it's an insider.
And the bathroom is in a worse position than this one here. So, and usually I can manage okay with a room that's not completely accessible, but turns out on the boat, probably not. So I just went and spoke to the people at reception to see if they could help me out. Actually, one of the staff members said to me, well, maybe you can use the public facilities if you needed to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
I said to him, how would you feel being on a cruise for 8 days and having to go use a public toilet to go to a... And he agreed.
Oh, it's heating up a little bit.
So the big problem is that people get booked these rooms from travel agents, and people often get these rooms that don't have disabilities. But yeah, look, this is definitely a learning experience, but it just shows that I think there needs to be more inclusive ways for people with disabilities to book cruises. Like, I looked at the map of this cruise ship and it doesn't even have that many accessible rooms. Considering about 20% of the world's population has disabilities, wouldn't it make sense that 20% of the rooms on a hotel or a cruise ship also have accessible rooms? At this stage, I'm pretty frustrated and upset. I'm going to try to order some food and go to bed. And then hopefully tomorrow I wake up feeling fresh, and hopefully I can find a way to enjoy this trip. But I might also just get off the boat at Barcelona and just cancel the rest of the cruise, and maybe find a way back to Marseille on a train or something. So anyway, I'm going to sleep on it and see how I feel in the morning. Good night.
Good night. Okay, so that is the unfortunate story currently going on with Shane. By the way, guys, if you want me to keep an eye on this story, if you find it interesting, I will continue to update, because I'm assuming he's going to continue posting about his experience on board this current MSC ship over in Europe. Now, before we get into the main takeaways here, as well as the controversy that is stirring up, just to give you a little context, I do understand that most of the viewers here on this YouTube channel, I do have a global audience, but the vast majority, as you can imagine, is from the United States or North America. And for those of you out there with disabilities, you've probably probably are familiar to some degree with the ADA, which is the American with Disabilities Act, initially passed in the year 1990, which stated that pretty much any place of business or government office has to be accommodating to people with disabilities. Over in Europe, they have something known as the EAA, which is the European Accessibilities Act. Now, as far as that goes, it is similar to what we have with the ADA in the United States, but with, of course, the age of Europe and its infrastructure and how things are designed. If you've been over to Europe, especially if you've been someplace like over in Venice, Italy, you know that it is literally impossible for anywhere to be super accommodating for people that may be in a wheelchair or have a walker or something of that nature where they need some type of assistance in order to get around. It's unfortunate, but this is how things are over in the specific area. When you couple things like, of course, like I said, the age and structure of Europe as a whole, as well as the fact that the vast majority of people over in Europe do not cruise. Keep in mind that as far as the global cruising market, Americans make up roughly 70% of that entire market. And the rest of the world makes up the other 30. And typically people that are cruising, yes, they are normally in the southern European areas, out of which being France, Italy, and Spain. This would explain why the workers over there that were assisting this gentleman maybe weren't as accommodating when it comes to somebody that is in a wheelchair. But also, like I said, if you go on a European cruise over at the terminal, they may be disorganized, or it's just one of those things that as far as how their operations and policies and procedures go, it is vastly different than what you might experience somewhere else during a cruise. Getting to the lodging situation, this gentleman's stateroom, his cabin for the next 8 days, obviously it was a very disappointing situation. And it is unfortunate that the staff over in customer service wasn't too accommodating when it comes to getting him into another room. However, I do believe that there are two sides to this. You heard in the video that he booked his cruise just 3 weeks prior to getting on board this MSC cruise ship. And for those of you out there, again, that cruise, you know that is to a degree kind of last minute. I'm not putting the blame on him, but considering how things are, the reality of this situation is pretty simple and straightforward in my humble opinion. This gentleman, Shane, does fall in the category of somebody that needs some type of special assistance. And it's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. You guys know I'm a professional break dancer. I might unfortunately break a hip at some point and also need some type of assistance by way of a cane or a walker or a wheelchair down the road, who knows? But what I mean by this is, personally and straight up, I blame the travel agent. If he booked last minute, it is the obligation and duty of the travel agent to ensure that he had his perfect room booked for him during this cruise. I don't blame MSC. However, yes, I'm not saying this as a fact. There could have been some issues of miscommunication with MSC, but the travel agent should have gone above and beyond to ensure that he had his perfect room, because it looks to me like there is a possibility that maybe he was booked in something like a guaranteed cabin, which doesn't ensure that he's going to get the exact desired room that he wants. On that note, I will remind all of you that I myself am a travel agent. I am sponsored. This channel, in fact, is sponsored by Lux Rally Travel. We do specialize and cater to all travel types that you may be looking for, whether it be luxury, standard, disability. We cater to all your needs to curate the perfect vacation for you. If you want to check us out, the link of which will be in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comments, and we will not disappoint. Anyway, I did dive a little bit into the comments of this video due to the fact that it racked up millions upon millions of views. And this is where things got a little interesting and caused a little bit of controversy. There are people that, of course, were sending love over to Shane, hoping that everything works out for him. But you also had people that were making comments, for example, stating that since the vast majority of people that go on cruises are typically older, which is true, the average cruiser is about 45, 50 years old, every single room should be an accessible room, even the suites. You also have other people that share the same sentiment as Shane in stating that if somebody does not have a disability of any kind, they should not be allowed to get these and book these rooms whatsoever. To both of those, there are issues with that. Of course, people that go on cruises, they want to escape reality. And I would argue that somebody that's paying $20,000 for a suite on board and they have no disabilities, they want to be able to have their hot tub and their bathtub and all that stuff that's available to them, as well as the door that doesn't stay open automatically for 10 hours while you're just trying to go to the bathroom. When it comes to the amount of people that go on these cruises that don't have disabilities, again, it just makes logical sense from a business perspective for the cruise line to only have a small percentage of the rooms be disability cabins. In terms of people not being able to book these disability rooms, accessible rooms and suites on board, my argument is still the same. This is a business that the cruise lines are running. If they let those rooms vacant for all of time, and let's say only one person with a disability needs that room for the cruise, obviously that's less butts in seats, that's less money that is, of course, going back to the cruise line. That is also a problem. Now, in Shane's particular case, I do believe that MSC could have done a better job in making sure that he was made whole and that he had everything he needed. If there weren't any accessible rooms available, then yes, you can go talk to one of the guests and kind of negotiate with them. Either, of course, give them the equivalent room or an upgrade, or if you have to give them the same room or maybe even something a little less, you can negotiate. You have to give them something else, maybe free drinks or some, I don't know, tickets or whatever the case may be, some vouchers for any of the restaurants or something that they maybe didn't have access to prior. Apologize, guys, for those last two segments there. Unfortunately, my mic was off for some reason. But anyway, we are back to the regular audio. However, I do want to say that personally for me, I have stayed in a couple different accessible cabins. I've stayed in one on the MSC, of course. I've stayed in one on P&O cruise ships and even the adult-only Virgin Voyages cruise. And I have to admit, I do understand the appeal for people that may not have disabilities that want these cabins because they are typically a lot bigger. And if you're willing to get past that door, it doesn't close for 10 minutes at a time, whether you need to go number 1 or 2. It is definitely a nice option. I'm not saying it's right or wrong if people without disabilities stay in these cabins, but the cruise lines and the travel agents and everybody involved do need to collaborate in the event that there aren't any more disability cabins or accessible cabins available to accommodate somebody that does indeed have a disability. Anyway, that's what we have for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below, especially if you are somebody that does book these accessible cabins, whether you have a disability or not. I do want to hear your take. If you guys want a part 2, because I'm sure Shane's going to make an update to all this because he is still currently on this MSC cruise, let me know if you want me to do an update. And of course, like I said, if you guys want to book your ultimate vacation with myself or any of my very well-experienced colleagues, you can check us out over at Lux Rally, link of which will be in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comments. Hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already. And as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.